Hey, so what's up with outworlders and outsiders fulfilling indigenous prophecies in fantasy? Let's look at 3 examples. The first being Jake Sully being Torok Makto in Avatar. The second being Paul Atreides as Muad'Dib and riding the 6th sandworm in Dune. And Daenerys Targaryen fulfilling the Dothraki prophecy of the stallion who mounts the world in A Song of Ice and Fire / Game of Thrones. And it's not just that they ride the fantasy creatures of that world, but rather they become one of the people, initiated through custom. And this means that they are now entitled to its land, its magics, its resources, its women, and their military fighting power. This initiation means he has joined their fight, but the people now have to join his cause, or hers. But this trope is linked to a much older colonial theory called Pocahontas theology, which is a theory that states that the incoming outsider, if he is able to take the heart of the princess, she is then able to sexually acquiesce access to her body, her people, and her land. It's actually something that the Catholic Church kind of came up with, that through the holy covenant of marriage, anything that belongs to the woman is then given up to the man as essentially communal property. And that communal property is access to, again, her land, her people, her customs, her religion, and intimate knowledge of those things to be claimed as his own. And we see it over and over and over and over and over again. And yes, even when the genders are swapped. In fact, love and marriage are completely necessary to Pocahontas theology. Marriage is a legal contract that legitimizes the taking of property, land, kingdoms. And the property is exchanged through the covenant of marriage. So after a marriage, why must an outsider fulfill an indigenous prophecy too? To legitimize their claim in the eyes of the people. Not only does this land and its customs get transferred into the possession of the outsider, they must now all fight and give their lives for the outsider's cause. So in the case of Daenerys and her blood riders, the traditional call only has 3 blood riders, and they are sworn to die when he dies. They must give their lives for his cause, and when he dies, they must also expire. In this moment, Daenerys Targaryen claims her entire Khalasar as her blood riders, meaning that they must all die if she dies. Her cause becomes the cause of the people. And if she does not win, the people must end. And in the case of Paul Atreides, the Muad'Dib, which is part of this larger grand scheme of manipulation by the Bene Gesserit, still has proof of this prophecy, right? That he can ride a sandworm, this, which is, he's already an outworlder that is accepted into the Siege, and this is a sandworm this size would give the Fremen pause, right? This is huge, but he is a natural, as if born to it, which is kind of a shortcut into being accepted into what is essentially a closed culture, a culture that deserves to remain opaque to outworlders who come onto Arrakis for the express purpose of extracting spice. Same with Jake Sully, right? He's able to learn how to ride the Ikran after just a few moments with Neytiri, and then he becomes Torok Makto and is able to quell this giant being and essentially supersede the one who is already the chosen warrior of his people. So Sute, that character, is already chosen for Neytiri. He is already in line to be the next leader of the people. He rides the biggest Ikran, but just by taming Torok Makto, or this animal, right, in order to become Torok Makto, Jake Sully is able to become the leader, take his wife, take his land, take his spot, and essentially command all of the forces of the Na'vi. But where does this ascension fantasy of the outsider come from? Cultural theorist and philosopher Edouard Glissant talks about the right to opacity. The right to opacity is the right of indigenous, marginalized, and otherwise oppressed peoples to keep their cultural practices closed to outsiders. The right to opacity refuses legibility to outsiders lest they come in, extract, and claim, essentially what is not theirs in order to serve empire, imperial causes, or to change the internal character of that people. The right to opacity is the refusal of legibility to nation, empire, or state. It is like a legal right to occlude your cultural practices to outsiders. To refuse translation. Keeping cultural practices, customs, and prophecies inaccessible in some way is the refusal to be conquered. Because to become legible to nation, to state, is to become conquerable, is to become read and therefore interpreted and changed. Open to change. If the outsider learns the customs and ways of an indigenous people, then he can and will find a way to fulfill that prophecy. And that has a lot to do with narratives. So why is fantasy so rooted in contact with others, with indigenous or culturally sort of opaque peoples, right? And the fantasy of those peoples becoming not only legible to our main characters, but accepting these main characters and then eventually claiming those characters as their own. In Culture and Imperialism, Edward Said talks about how the novel itself was the sort of narrative device that helped colonize the world. The first novel, the first kind of credited novel is Robinson Crusoe, which is an adventure novel about a shipwreck, encountering strange peoples, strange lands, stories of enterprise and frontiers, the new world. What is adventure but an act of enterprise? Think about it. Moby Dick, The Heart of Darkness. So if you think about it, the fantasy novel is an extension of, the first novel, Robinson Crusoe, the encounter with the other, and eventually conquering or vanquishing or becoming accepted in this new world, this new, people, this new way of being. It is claiming new land, new customs into itself. And that is what empire does, actually, to stay alive. Empire is constantly taking new criticisms into itself in order to make itself stronger, in order to persist, and in order to stay in power always. So the hero that encounters these indigenous peoples imagines the colonial project as heroic. The hero makes the other their own.
Dana! No! Do not look in her eye.
Say thanks for killing those things. Ah! Damn!
I got a date with Sawana, too.
She's dead.
Shut up and fly straight!
If it ain't raining, we ain't training!
Don't play with that, you'll go blind.
That's kind of freaky.
Yeah.
Hope you realize you just lost yourself a customer.
Candy-ass bitch.
Not run, or he'll charge.
So what do I do, dance with it? My fault they attacked me. How am I the bad guy?
Your fault!
Hey, woo.
Well, here I am. Doing science.
Stupid. Ignorant like a child.
Yeah, come on. What you got? Oh, yeah, who's bad? That's right. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, bitch. That's right. Get your punk ass back to mommy. Yeah? Yeah, you got nothing. You keep running. Hey, why don't you bring back some of your friends, huh? Please don't get up.
This is a warrior's knot, not easy to master. Perhaps you should start with an ilu.
Not this one.
When you dive back in, good position. Very important.
I got this.
Yeah! I'm pointing the way! Unsere Stadt und da für sie nicht Kommunie! I am Paul Muad'Dib Atreides,
Told this he the lead nigga in the freezer. I'm big as a beater. Fuck on a diva, I'm hot than a fever. Put up on one beaters, more stripes than a diva. I got these regular hoes, I got superstar hoes taking pictures of me like a fed.
You're out of your mind. He's bluffing.
Consider what you're about to do, Paul Atreides.
Silence!
Grip the 40 while I'm sleeping my hand. Drink the dope and I get cool as a fan. Turbo mo.
And I will take what is mine. With fire and blood, I will take it.
You stand in the presence of Daenerys Stormborn of House Targaryen, rightful heir to the Iron Throne, rightful queen of the Andals and the First Men, protector of the Seven Kingdoms, the mother of dragons, the Khaleesi of the Great Grass Sea, the unburnt, the breaker of chains.